Hey guys, it's Blepnir here with another team review, and today we're going to be looking over a team using TURTONATOR as a closer in the Catch Cup. TURTONATOR is such a fun Pokemon, and I finally got the resources and a TURTONATOR under 1500 CP to power up, thanks to the recent Chinese New Year's event that we had. I was able to do a research task that gave me a level 15 Turtonator, powered it up immediately, and it was so fun to use. The Dragon Fire typing is so powerful right now. The combination of Incinerate and Overheat just do so much damage. Incinerate is such a powerful move in this current meta, and it does very well in the back where it can sweep a lot of teams when shields are down. We're pairing it up with my favorite core in the Catch Cup, which is the Whiscash in the Toxapex, and I found that it paired with this core quite well. Let's see how this team does. So first off, we have Whiscash into Greninja. This is a good lead, just because these Shadow Mud Bombs do so much damage to Greninja. And we're probably going to switch out eventually. You're going to see that this Shadow Mud Bomb here is going to almost take them out. Not quite. And then we're going to go into our Toxapex, which is our safe swap, hoping to draw out a ground type. But we draw out a Dugong. And this is what's so great about Toxapex is even though Dugong has the coverage of Drill Run to do a good amount of chip damage here, Toxapex actually has a pretty good matchup, especially when it has a good energy advantage, like it has here. Sludge Wave does so much neutral damage. It does far more neutral damage than the Drill Run does super effective damage. And the Poison Jabs are actually doing a ton of damage to the Dugong, whereas the Ice Shards don't do anything to our Toxapex. And they actually have to go for another Drill Run in order to take us out. An Icy Wind wouldn't quite do it here. And they are actually not going to quite make it to either a Drill Run or an Icy Wind, which are the same amount of energy. But yeah, that is very good for us. And they come in with their Decidueye. And this is amazing because Decidueye has such a negative matchup here versus Turtonator. We actually just one-shot the Greninja from that amount of health. So that's really impressive. Just showing the power of Incinerate, that Greninja still had a sizable amount of health left, but even resisted that Incinerate was enough to take them out. And from there, we would just sweep with the Turtonator, and that is a good game. Next up, we have a Whiscash into Arctibax. This is another okay lead. The Arctibax can win this as long as they're willing to go down shields, but the Mud Bomb does well over half of their health, so they do have to go down at least one shield in order to win this matchup. And we're probably going to switch into the Toxapex at some point, which is our safe swap. We are going to no shield this because we're okay with just taking a shield advantage here in the lead. They go for an Avalanche, so that's not good for us at all. We were expecting either an Icy Wind or a Dragon Claw, which would not have taken us out, but an Avalanche definitely does. I was not expecting. That's probably one of the rarest moves that you'll find on the Arctibax because Dragon Claw is such a solid move, and you see there they do have Dragon Claw, and Icy Wind is also such a solid move. I cannot imagine running Avalanche over Icy Wind, but as it stands, this is fantastic for us. Their best answer to our Toxapex is a Victory Bell, and we're not expecting them to have anything that's too good against Turtonator in the back. Sure enough, they have Annihilate, and with a shield advantage, this should be a very strong win for us. They did not even go up to the Shadow Ball, but we're still going to shield up the Ice Punch just because in the 2-to-1 shields, this should be very safe for us. Even if we have to double shield Ice Punches, they will not make it to a third Ice Punch, and then we should be able to just farm down the Victory Bell. So we are going to shield this, and we are going to throw the move. We are getting kind of low, and so here I'm kind of worried that they might actually be able to just Razor Leaf us down with the Victory Bell. but let's see how this goes. So we actually cannot quite farm them down, which is not good. But you see here that luckily for us, this Victory Bell actually only has Acid Spray. I'm not sure if it's single moved. It's possible because it's the Catch Cup, right? Some people aren't double moving their Pokemon. But if you're going to be single moving your Victory Bell, you got to have the Leaf Blade, right, for that incredibly high, cheap move. But here we have our Whiscash into an Empoleon, and this is great for us. Shadow Whiscash into Shadow Empoleon. These mud shots are really chunking, and we're just going to match them in shields here. Obviously, we do outpace by a considerable margin. We're just going to throw here because these waterfalls are doing a good amount of damage to us. We want to live this match with a good amount of health, and we are going to Scald here. This was one of my earliest matches with this team, so I'm not really sure why I did this, but I do end up going into the Toxapex after Scalding. I guess I wanted to force them to switch out here, and they actually blind throw the Mirror Shot, and that's huge because Mirror Shot does absolutely nothing, especially with the attack debuff from the Scald. They go for a Power Whip here, and that's fine. We're going to go into Turtonator at this point. I should have just gone into Turtonator immediately, but this is game over because Crocolore in the back is just going to have a terrible matchup versus both Turtonator and Toxapex. We can easily sweep with the Toxapex if we need to here. I don't think that we need to because we're going to throw the Dragon Pulse. We do lose CMP, unfortunately, to the Crocolore, which is okay. Throw the Crunch. The Crunch does not do that much damage. And we should be able to farm down here after this Dragon Pulse. It's one. And we're going to just shield this up and farm down. And there's nothing that they can throw on their Ferrothorn that could actually take us out here. With the Defense Fall, I guess that a Resisted Thunder or a Resisted Flash Cannon would take us out. But definitely not a Mirror Shot or a double resisted Power Whip, and that is a good game. So just kind of playing with our food there at the end, right? But they did not have a win con against the Turtonator in the back. And that's what I've been seeing a lot in the teams in the current Catch Cup. Just a lot of teams that are not necessarily prepared for a fire type in the back. And especially if you're able to bait out their one fire type counter with the Toxapex, you should be good to go. But here they have the Whiscash in the lead, and they don't even go up to the Scald. They just throw straight Mud Bomb, and we're glad to take this Mud Bomb here. We're going to throw the Scald. We either get a shield or we get Switch. Either way, this is really good. Because they went for straight Mud Bomb, they guaranteed that we would at least get a shield. We go into our Toxapex here. This is because our Toxapex is our safe swap, and we're okay with just throwing it away because we're so confident that our Turtonator can sweep in the back up a shield. And then we draw out the Charjabug, and so just a testament to how strong the Toxapex here. It basically has a neutral matchup versus Charjabug because the Sludge Wave does so much neutral damage, the Poison Jabs do so much neutral damage. It basically competes with the Charjabug in terms of absolute damage here. And now we're going to go into the Turtonator, and we take them out in one Incinerate. And that's amazing because they don't get off a move onto Turtonator. Turtonator, of course, resists the common Charjabug moveset. It resists the X-Scissor. It resists the Discharge. And we come into the Whiscash. They throw on Alignment, and this is the best case scenario. Our Whiscash has a really high attack stat, so it wins CMP over most mirror Whiscashes, which is really good. They do make it to a move here. We're going to shield, and then I think I can do one more Incinerate, and then throw my move. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to throw one Incinerate. We do go for the extra, and now we have to shield, But at this point, we have 100 energy, and not a whole lot can beat a Turtonator that's at 100 energy. And you see here they have a Skarmory, and Skarmory is definitely not going to be able to beat the Turtonator. One Overheat and one more Incinerate, and that Skarmory is gone. Good game. Next up, we have Whiscash into Ninetales. This is a pretty neutral lead. We go into the Toxapex immediately because both of our back two Pokemon have such a positive matchup versus the Ninetales. But they have a Jellicent, and Jellicent is one of the big weaknesses of our team. The lead of Whiscash has a pretty neutral matchup with Jellicent. But both of the back two Pokemon have negative matchups with Jellicent. We actually shield that first Shadow Ball, which is a questionable choice. I was just thinking that I would have to shield eventually if I wanted to fight for Switch. But I don't think that shielding the first one was the right choice. At least they're going to have to throw 2 Shadow Balls to take us out, right? This first Shadow Ball doesn't do quite half of our remaining health. But by the time they get to the hexes to throw the next Shadow Ball, they should take us out with 1 Shadow Ball. So we go into our Turtonator to absorb this damage. I'm thinking this is a Surf. Yeah, they do throw the Surf here. And this is what's so nice about the Dragon subtyping of Turtonator is it is able to take neutral damage from water moves. And then they go into their Swampert. So this is an ABB water team. And we're perfectly fine to have our Dragon Pulse land on Swampert. They go for the Hydro Cannon. And then we come back in with Whiscash. 1 Mud Bomb will be enough to take them out. We have to make a decision here. This Hydro Cannon is going to hurt. But we decide to take the Hydro Cannon. We only farm up 1, so maybe we could have farmed up a little bit more there at least. I think that would have been the play, definitely. But here it's not looking good for us at all. We go into the Toxapex, and they still have the healthy Jellicent. So I think that looking back, if I had farmed up at least 2 more with the Whiscash, we would have had a much better time here. But here we have to farm down the Jellicent. But unfortunately, the Ninetales just has too much health here. We're not going to be able to take out the Ninetales. They're not even going to keep throwing hexes because they're so confident. This Scald will not do enough damage, and they still have 2 shields. So they still have a shield, and we do not have a shield, which means that this is just game over for us. And that is a good game. We had pretty bad alignment. This is an ABB weak to water ground team, and they had a water type and a ground type in the back. So that was going to be an uphill battle. But here we have a Dugong in the lead. This is a pretty neutral lead. But the fact that Mud Bomb does not a great amount of damage, plus the fact that it can debuff, means that we would lose this lead in most shielding scenarios. But we decide to throw the Scald just for the possible debuff. We do not get the debuff with Scald, unfortunately. And then we come into our safe swap of Toxapex. Once again, this is not a terrible matchup. So we're very happy that they're staying in. They need 3 drill runs to take us out. Whereas a Sludge Wave should take them out on our end. We're just going to throw the Sludge Wave immediately. We don't want to give them an opportunity to switch out at this point. We just want to take them out. And then we have 3 Pokemon versus their 2 Pokemon, which is a good situation to be in. They have a Salazzle in the back, and this kind of a crazy play for them to come into a Salazzle versus a Toxapex. They're going to go down a shield, but we still have our Whiscash. And so it is a little bit scary. If they throw the Dragon Pulse here, it would do a sizable amount of damage. But luckily they throw the Poison Fang, which is very good for us. They have the Annihilate in the back. We're just going to throw the Scald here to get the last shield. We're hoping to get a debuff, because this would make the back matchup a lot easier for us. We do not get a debuff, but this should still be perfectly fine, because we're up 2 shields. and they are going to throw an Ice Punch. We call the Ice Punch, which is a little risky, but the Salazzle has so much energy at this point that if we shielded, then they might be in danger of getting to double Poison Fangs with the Salazzle. So it's very good that we managed to save 2 shields here. We actually just let this Poison Fang go because we are just going to be able to sweep with the Whiscash, and this should be a good game because even if they could take us out with one more Incinerate, they're not going to be able to register the Incinerate damage because we get to our Mud Bomb in 2 turns. They would need at least 4 turns to register their Incinerate damage, and that is a good game. Next up, we have Whiscash into Lantern. This is a very good lead for us. Let's see what happens here. And they're staying in. They're staying in this very negative matchup, which is telling me that they might have a Steel type in the back. They have something in the back that is weak to Whiscash. So possibly a Skarmory. We've been seeing some Skarmory Lantern teams for sure here. But because they didn't catch, I was a little scared of a catch. But since they didn't catch, this is going to take them out. And so we win that primary matchup with a lot of health left. We safe swap into the Toxapex, expecting a flyer of some kind. Luckily, it's not a Skarmory. It is a Mantine, and Mantine has a much worse matchup with the Toxapex and Skarmory. But they also have a Sandslash in the back, and Sandslash has such a good matchup with Toxapex. It's not the worst thing in the world here because we still have so much health left on our Whiscash. But if they play this matchup right, they could have pretty much 100 energy here going into their third matchup. They're going to be able to farm this all the way down. And then I will probably I'll throw an Incinerate, and this Incinerate will take them out, so we do have to shield, but at least we have 1 Incinerate worth of energy, and they have only this Mantine left, so this is not a great matchup here, but we managed to catch a move, and this is surprising because this is a 5-turn move in Incinerate into a 2-turn move. And for those of y'all who don't know, it's not very easy to catch moves when you're using a 5-turn move like Incinerate. So that's very lucky for me. Also, getting this debuff is very lucky for me. At this point, we should be able to win this matchup just because the debuff makes the matchup with Turtonator not so bad. We get another debuff, and now these aerial aces are just not going to quite cut it, unfortunately. So you're going to see that they have to shield, obviously. The Dragon Pulse would easily take them out from there. And now they're going to throw an Aerial Ace at me. This is double debuffed, and it does baby damage. That's like 20% of our health. They're going to throw an Ice Beam here, and the Ice Beam will just not do good enough amount of damage, and that is a good game. So that is the power of Scald in the back, just being able to spam out those debuffs. Absolutely brutal to any opponent that cannot switch out. And okay, so here we have the Whiscash in the lead, and we really want to see the Whiscash in the lead. Because we have such a high attack stat, we can usually win CMP over other Whiscashes, but not in this case. This is a purified Whiscash, which means that it has at least 2 attack, right? Because purification adds 2 to every stat. And so clearly this Whiscash is a little bit on the attack weighted side. But that's fine because the important thing is that we are avoiding the Whiscash in the back, but we do safe swap. Like I said before, Toxapex is our safe swap, and it's not the worst thing in the world to catch that Mud Bomb there on Toxapex. Obviously, I was hoping for a Scald, but at least because they're throwing Mud Bombs, we're not going to get debuffed, right? And we're assuming that because they're leading the Whiscash, that we're going to be able to sweep with Turtonator in the back. They come in with the Dragonair, and this is a really questionable choice in the opponent's end because we're going to be able to land this Sludge Wave. It's going to do so much damage. Boom! That's a lot of damage. So basically, even though we started out with so low health versus the Dragonair, we're able to bring them down to pretty much the same amount of health that we had on Toxapex. We actually don't throw our Mud Bomb immediately. I was assuming that they were going to throw their move immediately. So looking back, since they didn't throw their move, I could have just thrown the Mud Bomb and take them out. But because we didn't do that, we are just going to shield one's farm down. They have a Skarmory in the back, and this is fantastic. This is exactly why you want to farm up energy on Whiscash, is so that we can spam out these Scalds. And here I just throw a Mud Bomb, because I know that I'm going to get 2 double Mud Bombs here. I know they're going to shield, because at this point, their Skarmory is basically the only healthy Pokemon they have left. So that's an easy bait for me. And we're going to no-shield this Brave Bird. Because it's debuffed, it doesn't do that much. And we should actually be okay here, because we're going to be able to just sweep with our own Whiscash. We're going to get them low enough that we should be able to take them out with our Whiscash. It's going to be actually pretty close. So let's see how this goes here. We're going to let them take us out. And then they actually throw a move. So thankfully, because they throw a move, we are going to win this matchup. If they didn't throw a move, I'm pretty sure that we would have simul KO'd. And here, I actually forgot how low the Skarmory was. So that was a really close matchup. I could have just thrown the Mud Bomb into the Skarmory, but I went for the Scald. That almost lost me the matchup. But thankfully, one Mud Shot took out their Skarmory before their Steel Wing was able to take us out. And that is a good game. Next up, we have Whiscash into Dewgong once again. Another neutral lead, but obviously eventually these Icy Winds are going to start whittling down the Whiscash, and the attack debuffs are going to make this a pretty negative matchup for Whiscash in the 1-2 shield scenario. We're going to just tank this move here. We did chip the Dewgong a good amount with our Mud Bomb, and what we do is we're actually going to save a Mud Bomb, and that is a pretty good thing for us, because like I said before, we do win most charge move priorities with our Whiscash, and if we can just get this opposing Whiscash into Mud Bomb range, we should be able to just come back in with our own Whiscash, take them out with a Mud Bomb, or at least force a shield. So even though this is a very bad matchup, Whiscash into our Toxapex, we did have to bait out this Whiscash eventually. So baiting it out here is not the worst thing in the world. They are going to get a pretty mean farm down here if they decide to Mud Shot us all the way down. But let's see if they decide to do so. They actually realize they can't farm us down, and sure enough, it looks like we would have gotten to a brine. So it's good that they're throwing here. But we're just going to throw our own Mud Bomb immediately, and this should be Mud Bomb range. For a Shadow Whiscash, this should be about enough damage to take out their Whiscash. And now we have our Turtonator, and they have a Trevenant in the back. So this is still not over, because they have a fairly healthy Dewgong, but we should be able to just run over this Trevenant in the 2 shields with our Turtonator. We're going to call this move just because we know that a single Shadow Ball from the Trevenant would obviously be enough to take us out. It's a risky call, but we were just hoping that they would go for the bait move, and sure enough they did. And they also CMP tie us, so this is definitely best case scenario here, is getting the CMP. This is going to get a little bit close. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our Whiscash and farm them down. It's so good that we get the farm down here. It's so good because we have 2 free Mud Shots here. Their Dewgong is dead, and we should be able to get to a Scald and a Mud Bomb, and just showing off the power of the Shadow Whiscash, a Scald and a Mud Bomb is actually able to take them out. So we didn't get the debuff here, but we did not need the debuff. Even if we didn't take them out with this Mud Bomb, a single Incinerate should be able to do it. But regardless, that is a good game. That is a Whiscash taking out a very healthy Trevenant there. You love to see it. with that being said, these were my battles with Turtonator today. A whole lot of fun. If you want to join me for my battles on stream, I've got a link to my Twitch down below.